software problems at Vermont Health Connect. Things are very slow. People are becoming frustrated with what's going on. How disappointed are you with the way this is unfolding?
You know, I'm really encouraged by the fact that this transformation in healthcare is happening in Vermont and that we've made as much progress as we have. Listen, people are signing up. We've had, I believe, over 20,000 people visit the site. We have over 1,200 who've already done the enrollment process, and we're making great progress. Now, I told you from the beginning, there are going to be hiccups, there are going to be bumps in the road. I would argue that our bumps in the road have been perhaps less severe than some of our other states have experienced. As you know, some of the other states literally had to take their website down on the first day, whether you're a federally built site or a state built site. This is a huge technological transformation. What I can tell you as a business person who's dealt with big technology data system changes in my business, there isn't anybody that goes into a technology system that's ambitious as this one without all kinds of hiccups and bumps. And we're going to get them, and you got to expect them over the next coming weeks. What I can tell you is that we've got our team working together with our vendors 24/7 to continue to make improvements to the system that went up on Tuesday. Good news, the first few pages move faster now than they did when we opened on Tuesday. You'll continue to see improvements and additions as we move forward, and I'm convinced that we'll have a website that will and is meeting demand and will be easier to navigate as we go forward.
You know, I think what has some people scratching their heads is, why wasn't this system really comprehensively and thoroughly tested before it went live?
Well, let's remember how we got here. The Affordable Care Act, as you know, was passed by Congress and signed into law by the President. They chose the implementation dates. The governors didn't. The governors had two choices. They could build the websites themselves, or they could ask the federal government to do it for them. I think it's relevant that the date of October 1 was chosen by the folks in Washington, and the governors were asked to implement. We're happy to do that. We are doing it. But if you look at the timeline that we were all asked to work under, not just Vermont, but talk to the governor of Maryland, talk to the governor of New York, talk to the governor of Massachusetts, talk to the governor of Washington State, Oregon, or those that went the federal route, we're obviously all struggling to have perfect websites by October 1st. So all of we governors made the judgment. Let's go forward. Let's open up. Let's ask our users to help us improve it as we go forward, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So listen, this is a good news story. This is the biggest technology transformation in healthcare in the history of America. We are delivering on the promise that was made to help low-income people get access to insurance. I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, if you hear the stories of the people that are signing up, I think the first one in Vermont was a 56-year-old woman who hadn't had any health insurance. Suddenly, not only does she get health insurance as of January 1, but because we have the technology, we're able to get her signed up on VHAP today so that she's covered until January 1 on the old system. So it's working. It's going to help low-income Americans. I know that there are many, many Republicans in Congress, and perhaps some in Vermont, who wish that this wasn't working. It is working. We should be proud of the progress we're making. This is about ensuring that Vermonters have access and Americans have access to affordable, quality health care. It's long overdue. We should be proud of the progress being made in all of the states.
Would you still characterize the bumps in the road as nothing burger?
Now let me be clear. Let me be clear. Listen, I love you all in the press. I love you. But sometimes you take a statement and I read it back and I go, were they at the press conference? I was asked by a reporter whether the delay, very specifically, whether the delay on the electronic payment system in October was a big deal. You know, what did it mean to Vermont? I said, listen, that particular detail is a nothing burger. So let's talk about nothing burgers and something burgers. The website is a something burger. The challenges that we're having with the website obviously are something burgers. The nothing burger was what I responded to at the last press conference I had before I went to China, which was the delay of payments on October 1st when no one is going to be paying on October 1st because no one's getting an invoice yet. And I've never heard of a business who pays a bill when they don't have an invoice.
Governor, what kind of condiments go on a something burger? I'm not really familiar with the terminology.
Lots of investment in technology from all over the country coming together to try to coordinate different websites would be the condiments in this something burger.
Because I gathered no condiments going to Nothing Burger.
You got it.
Yeah, okay. Now, what are your top 3 worries vis-a-vis the federal government shutdown and its impact on operations of Vermont state government?
My top single worry, instead of top 3, is this, that the people who shut down the federal government in Washington don't care about Americans and federal employees who are living paycheck to paycheck, who are struggling to make ends meet, who are struggling to put food on the table, pay their bills, send their kids to college. And they're more concerned about opening up national parks than they are about real people who are being asked to make extraordinary, financially difficult sacrifices because they're shutting down the federal government of the United States of America. I just find that inconceivable, unbelievable, heartless, unnecessary, and extraordinarily dangerous to our democracy.
Okay, what's your top worry in terms of the effect on the operations of state government?
My top worry for the state of Vermont is that we're going to take a emerging economic recovery and stall it, that folks who are working hard at the National Guard aren't going to be able to feed their families, that low-income Vermonters aren't going to get access to the resources that they need to survive. That's my concern.
Do you think you could help your role as PGA chair in getting Democratic governors elected with the discredits of the Democratic Party?
You know, this one is so big that I think anyone who plays politics with it is foolish. Listen, this crisis has been created because of really bad politics. The worst of politics is being carried out in America right now. You have folks who disagree with the president on Obamacare, who have lost that battle 42 times, 42 votes in the House. We had a presidential election last time I checked last November. They lost it there. One candidate was going to repeal it, the other one was going to help continue to build upon it, make it better. And they lost. And so instead they say, well, let's play politics with the economy, with jobs, and with vulnerable and middle-class Americans. I just don't get it. And I think anyone who responds to that with a political response is out of their minds. Let's get these folks to sit down and do what they're supposed to do. The Tea Party folks in Congress should find a way to get out of the mess they got themselves into. Fast, now, today, before it's too late.
Could we return to Something Burger?
Sure.
What makes Vermont unique with our Something Burger is that we're mandating that small businesses and individuals buy insurance via this exchange. Why was it a good idea to mandate that these groups purchase insurance on the exchange?
The reason it was a good idea was really two. The first is to have one clear place to go and shop for health insurance has been a dream of many small business people and individuals in Vermont for a long, long time. Let's not forget who was getting the short end of the stick in the healthcare system in Vermont pre-Tuesday. The person who was really getting the short end of the stick is the individual purchaser. The person out there who has to go buy insurance and has no business that's helping them get coverage. The rates were astronomical. The other person that was really getting hurt was the small business person who has to navigate a maze of existing choices that is very difficult to get one clear answer to, where it's one clear benefits package, all the benefits are the same, you don't have to read the fine print to find out whether you have maternity, whether emergency rooms are covered, whether if you get cancer you're going to get the kind of catastrophic treatment that you so much need and desire. So the point is, this is a huge evolution in the way we deliver health care, and that's why it's important to have everybody in. Second piece is, we believe that Vermont will potentially draw down $200 to $400 million in federal money to help Vermonters pay for health insurance that they're currently struggling to pay for. Now, all I can tell you is $400 million in Vermont is a something burger. For those two reasons, we should get everybody in. And we did, and we made the right judgment. Now, I just want to say this about the Affordable Care Act. We've got to remember this. Listen, President Obama has said to me, and he has said to other governors on numerous occasions, the Affordable Care Act is not everything that I wanted. It's a great start. And I'm asking you as governors to take the Affordable Care Act and innovate and make it better. And I think Vermont is an example of how we've made it better. My own view is that if there's a shortcoming, and there are many, to the Affordable Care Act that we need to fix, it's that not enough people will use the website and access the federal help The great thing about Vermont is we're the only state who had the judgment to say, that federal help's critical. We need it. Business people and middle-class Vermonters are struggling to pay for health insurance. Let's get all the help that we can from the federal government. So we made the right decision as being the state that says, one good, clean place to shop, draw down federal dollars. Now we got to go to the next step, which is how do we find ways to contain cost within the system to be able to afford universal access for all Vermonters. So on to stage 2 as we continue to improve the website.
You mentioned that there were a number of Republicans in Washington and in Vermont who hope that this fails. One of them, I think, might be your former gubernatorial opponent, Randy Brock. Was there anything in his op-ed over the weekend or his criticisms of the program that's rolled out that you agreed with, or did you find it all a nothing burger and argument?
You know, I'll let my team, I think Commissioner Larson wrote a response to that particular piece. This is what I can tell you. You know, these bags under my eyes, I didn't inherit those, I've earned them. And I'm working 7 days a week to do what voters hired me to do, which is to grow jobs and improve Vermont's quality of life. And I will continue to do that 7 days a week until Labor Day, when I'll be happy to talk about electoral politics.
Well, but talk about his specific criticisms that the state's vendor missed more than half of its milestones and is now has a contract that's worth twice as much as its original contract. I mean,
right. I think Commissioner Larson gave very, very clear and good and understandable answers to to the allegations that were made, and I'll leave it to the commissioner to continue to explain them.
You were in Rutland yesterday, meeting with a pretty well-known CEO at the GE plant. Did he ask you for anything, and did he share with you where the plant is headed in terms of employment or its future?
You know, we had a very good conversation with Jeff Imlet and with the folks at GE that came in from all over the country for that event. I want to congratulate and thank the CEO of GE. That's the first CEO to visit our plant in Rutland in 22 years. And whenever I go through that plant, which I do frequently, it's a huge source of pride for me as a governor. We've got a team of incredibly innovative, hardworking Vermonters. I keep saying the best workforce you can find anywhere in America, who are building state-of-the-art engines for airplanes, and they're building the robotics right there that allows them to cut costs, build the finest engines in the world, and deliver those on time to customers all over the world. It's a big deal. Starting wage, $26 an hour. Go up quickly. So my message to him was, listen, I know that as a CEO you make two choices. One is to grow a plant right where it is, and the other is to outsource some of the production, the parts that GE doesn't want to do, to other companies that settle right there, which is the case with Ellison in Rutland and other job creators. So we had a good conversation about the possibility of building more of those relationships, and I hope that we can. Rutland's a part of the state that's on the move. Solar City coming, higher speed rail coming, big things happening in downtown. I'm convinced that in partnership with GE and other CEOs, we can continue to grow jobs in Rutland.
Is he bullish about that plan?
Very. He's very bullish about it. You might be surprised to know it is the biggest GE manufacturing plant in the country. Most of them have fewer employees. They're up to about 1,125 employees there. That's a great news story for Vermont. They are doing things at that GE plant that aren't being done anywhere else in any other plants in America. So we got a lot to be proud of. I'm convinced we continue to grow it, whether it's directly through GE or whether it's through relationships with other companies that feed GE. That's an incredibly important employer in Rutland County. And I was really grateful to him for hearing us out, for coming in and seeing what was going on there, and I know that he left impressed.
Governor, the Vermont Electric Cooperative took a lot of heat this week when it proposed reducing the subsidies or market incentives, whatever you call it, through net metering for small solar installations. I'm wondering if you think that those are too generous at this point because the market is getting more mature, or if you think that Vermont Electric Co-op and maybe earlier WEC wanted to trim back on its commitment to this stuff. are they getting too stingy? Where do we strike the balance there?
Here's the good news. As you know, we've doubled the amount of solar since I've been governor. I expect that we'll more than double it in these 2 years in office that I've been good enough to be given by the voters to serve. My view is that as renewables become more competitive and as they become more affordable, which is solar is a great example, as you know, the cost has dropped exponentially over the last 24 months, that we should look at everything that we're doing with a new eye of how we continue to build renewables faster and smarter. So I think this dialogue's an important one. As we know, the 4% cap is not making much sense anymore. I think we have an opportunity to sit down with the legislature, with my administration, to think of other ways that we can improve and tweak our most aggressive renewable energy incentives to ensure that we keep expanding, keep growing, keep building out, get off our addiction to oil.
Does the cap need to be doubled or quintupled, or does it need to be gotten rid of altogether?
Yeah, I'm not going to go there yet. What I can tell you is that we're going to be working very closely with the chairs of the respective committees, with the Speaker and the Senate President, to come up with a package this legislative session that'll help to address what's working, what's not working, and how we can build even faster.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, team.